From time to time the waste, memory waste, and the waste, memory waste.
The Go-Betweens were an Australian band formed in Brisbane in 1977. So they were co-founded by two guys called Robert Forster and Grant McClellan, both of whom were singer-songwriters and guitarists, and they effectively co-led the band through its history. And I feel like this is quite unusual. It's often you have one person who's the driving force in a band, much less common to have a partnership of two. The rest of the members of the band have been quite volatile over the years. So they existed until 1989, during which period they produced 6 albums. And then after a break, they reconvened into the year 2000, and they produced 3 more albums until Grant died in 2006. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the second album by the Go-Betweens, and it's my first time listening to them, and I'm not sure I've come across them before in any sense. I would describe this as being post-punk jangle pop, possibly. Well, pop isn't quite the right word for it, maybe. It's kind of angular. It's very kind of spiky and jangly. It's very 80s. I feel like it's very much a product of its time. However, unlike some of the other stuff that potentially sounded like this, there's quite a lot going on in terms of complex patterns in different length bars, different numbers of bars, different rhythms going on, and often some quite odd chords and chord sequences and discordant stuff deliberately that's going on. The whole thing, and my first impression was it felt kind of awkward in some ways, possibly in a deliberately studied way. Mostly the instruments that play here are guitars, bass, and drums, and a rock organ appears quite a bit. But it's quite a sparse and empty sound. It reminded me of The Cure in sound in some ways. The voice, actually I believe it's 2 different voices, but they're very 80s kind of sounding voices. Reminded me very strongly of a band called It's a Material, but of other 80s bands as well. It's this kind of strong but particular kind of tonal quality to it. Overall, it's kind of dark, so it's not as poppy as the kind of the combination of sounds might suggest it would be. The kind of overall feel, this kind of emptiness, gives it a darkness as well. But I listened twice, as I usually do, and I certainly remembered some stuff the second time round. So that means that some of it is kind of quite, quickly recognisable and absorbable in that sense. I wonder if it's the sort of thing that might have done well on kind of, late night alternative music programmes on the radio, possibly the sort of thing that in the UK John Peel might have championed. The songs are about, I'm not really sure what. I didn't pay a huge amount of attention to the words because they didn't draw me in that sense. Overall, I'd say it's mildly interesting, but it's not really my kind of thing. So I kind of mildly enjoyed it, but wouldn't particularly seek it out again. So that's what I think. What do you think? Please talk to me through the comments box. That's it from me for now.
Ask, he said.